What is going on, guys? I am the FD Guru, bringing to you guys a golf episode of my DFS podcast. In this week's episode, I'm going to be giving you guys 2 cash game plays that I like and 2 GPP plays that I like. And if you're new to DFS, a cash play just means a low risk and a good reward kind of play, a guy who's going to make the cut. A guy that a lot of people are going to have, whereas a GPP play is a guy with a lot of risk but a lot of upside, maybe with low ownership, and a guy that can really climb the leaderboard if they make the cut. It's just if they make that cut is the risk. So it's good to have some tournament plays and good to have some cash game plays. I'm really liking this player pool for this week. It's not as stacked as we've seen in the first 3 weeks since COVID. I do think there's a lot of good plays, though, and I hope that these 4 guys that I mentioned today help you out, as I think I'll be locking them in a lot of my lineups. So let's jump right to it. This is an easy play for cash, but I just think he's way too hard of a fade. I love Bryson DeChambeau. He is the most under par since the start of the new season after the quarantine. In 3 tournaments, he's like 45 under par or something crazy like that. I say lock him in at $12,200. It's a very expensive price, but he's going to make the cut, and he's going to make a run at taking this tournament down. I think it's a really risky thing to do to not play him in your cash game lineups. I have some really good value out there, so it's going to make it a little bit easier to pick DeChambeau in your lineups. My other cash game play, believe it or not, let's go way down here. I think he's 7,700. He's plus 5,000 to win the tournament, which isn't bad at all, especially at this price. Kurt Kitayama. He hasn't played many PGA Tour tournaments yet in his career, but he's 4 for 5 on cuts. Vegas loves him for some reason. I've been following him a little bit, but I don't know much about him. I'm really going off of Vegas here. 7,700 again is an extremely cheap price, and the fact that he's a plus 5,000 favorite means that he has a really good chance of making the cut. I do think he's gonna play well. He hasn't played anything since COVID, but I do think it's a great play. If you're a little shaky on him in cash, try to get some good exposure to him in GPPs. I think he's a guy that can really help your lineup if he makes the cut and makes it into the weekend at 7,700. A huge salary saver there. And then my 2 GPP plays here. Let's go back up. My first one, I'm going with Maverick McNeely. 13 out of 16 cuts. This is a young guy. I think he has it in him to really soar up that leaderboard if he makes that cut. Not entirely consistent, but at 9,300, I think it's a good play. He's made both cuts in the 2 tournaments that he's played since the quarantine. He didn't play last week's Travelers, but in the RBC Heritage and the Charles Schwab, he played pretty damn well, and I do think he'll make the cut this week. Again, a little risky, but that's why he's a GPP play. I like the price on him, and he's shown that he can get really up there in his young career. 15th finish, 5th finish, 11th finish. He's not afraid to play on Sunday when he's got a chance. So I think that's a huge factor in a tournament play like I have here with Maverick. And then my last 4th play here, my second GPP play, let's get right back on Will Gordon. Gordon had an awesome tournament going into this Travelers Championship. He went 4, and then he had an awesome 8 under. It was really just the 3rd round on Saturday that really hurt his chances. He still ended finishing 3rd, but that 1 over in round 3 really hurt him. I love this play at 9,100. You could even put him in cash games if you're really feeling it. Coming off of last week, this guy's going to be coming in really confident. He looked really good if you guys watch any coverage. Really confident stroke. And if you looked at his facial expressions, he just never seemed to be in between clubs. He never seemed to question any of his shots. And I love that going into the next week. Expect him to have some good confidence here. And he's had some low finishes in his last few tournaments. I know that was his first tournament since the quarantine, but he came out really, really well. So maybe he worked on some serious things for the few months that we had off. But that will wrap up the 4 plays today, guys. Make sure you drop a like on this video if it helps. But until next time, I am the FD Guru, and I am signing off. See ya.